Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Weekly. It's our brand new show. We still have the same set going on here. As the weeks go on, we will add more and more little bits and pieces to the show, including a new bumper that I'm working on, but didn't quite have that ready yet this week. So we're going to start in, and as I mentioned last week, we're going to focus much more on Vegas tips and tricks. We're going to talk in more detail than is possible on our Tuesday and Thursday shows about Vegas and everything about it. And today we're going to focus on getting to Vegas. We're going to talk about planning your trip, the best way to do it, some do's, some don'ts, some things to think about as you're preparing to go to Las Vegas. And it's good information, particularly if you've not gone to Las Vegas or have not gone to Las Vegas recently. But I think there's some good information there for anybody. And hopefully even some of the longtime viewers can learn something from today's show. Before we get started, I want to encourage you to go ahead and take a few quick steps today to make my life a little better and hopefully make yours. Click that subscribe button. It helps us out, gives us more visibility on YouTube. Make sure you like this video, and if you have any thoughts about the video, any questions or concerns, please feel free to leave a comment as well. Okay, so today we're basically focused on planning your trip to Las Vegas, and I think honestly, and I could be wrong about this, I think the average person planning a trip to, well, honestly, fill in the blank, but Las Vegas as well, probably takes a very simple approach. I think most people probably hit up one of those sort of mega travel sites, whether it's Orbitz or Expedia or Travelocity. I don't know. Have they all merged into one at this point? I kind of think they have. But everybody sort of hits up that big travel site. And, they plug in the dates that they've decided on, and they, click through and they see what the least expensive airfare is. Sometimes they don't pay very close attention to the fact that that airfare is going to involve 2 stopovers in the middle of the night, and it's going to take them 8 hours instead of what a direct flight might take, which might be 3 or 4 hours. And then they will typically add their hotel room in on that site as well. And I think normally it takes one of 2 forms. Either they look for the least expensive option that they can find or that they've heard of or that sounds palatable, or they may have a particular hotel in mind, in which case they may look around a little bit. They may check some alternative travel sites. But, if they want to stay at the Venetian because they've heard that's the place to be, they're probably going to go ahead and book the Venetian. In principle, there's nothing wrong with that approach, but it's probably not the best way to save money, and it's probably not the best way to make sure you get the ideal Las Vegas experience. So I'm going to break it down a little bit today. And again, first off, we're going to start with deciding when to go to Las Vegas. Deciding when to go to Las Vegas basically takes 2 forms. One, what time of the year, and what time of the week. But before we even talk about that, let's talk about the ideal length of a Las Vegas trip. Now, for me, a person who's been to Las Vegas 50 times and has stayed anywhere from 2 or 3 nights up to 8 nights, I've kind of settled in on the idea that 5 nights is just about right for me. But I typically recommend a shorter trip for a first-time visitor, maybe 3 nights, 4 nights tops. And the reason I say that is because you can always go back if you find that there are things in Las Vegas you missed, and you'll probably want to go back if you enjoyed your experience. And also, typically, Las Vegas can get the best of you after a few days. And so, people sometimes find themselves 3-4 days into a trip and are broke and are just gone. Typically, that takes 6 or 7 days for me. So I usually recommend a shorter trip, 3 or 4 days. That way you can be a little freer with your bankroll. You don't have to feel like you're sort of cutting it down into smaller and smaller chunks just to sort of stretch it out for the entire trip. And again, it still allows you to hit up most of the major attractions, but at the same time, will introduce you to some other parts of Las Vegas that you may want to return to at a later date. I'd much rather you want more Las Vegas when you come back home than be sick of it. So 3-4 days, that's usually an ideal length of time. Now, what time during the week is the best time to come to Las Vegas? Well, it kind of depends on what your goals are. If you want to be in Las Vegas when everything is happening, when it's the busiest, when there's the most people around, the most activities, the most shows, things like that, then you probably want to be there over the weekend. The problem with being there over the weekend is that's what pretty much everybody thinks. And a lot of folks in nearby states like California, Arizona, Utah may drive into Las Vegas for 2 or 3 nights, maybe come in on Friday, leave on Sunday or Monday. And so that typically bids up the price of hotel rooms. So if you stay over the weekend, not only will it be more crowded, but you'll pay more for your hotel room. You'll usually do much better if you come in on a Sunday, Monday night and leave, say, on a Thursday or Friday morning. That's going to give you the best hotel rates. It will not, however, always give you the best airfares. It's my experience that most of the time you're going to find the cheapest airfares from just about any airport to Las Vegas on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And there's good reason for that. Again, we talked about how so many people visit Las Vegas over the weekend. They may fly in on a Thursday or Friday. They may leave on a Sunday or Monday. There's not a lot of those folks that are stretching that trip out to Tuesday or coming in on Wednesday. So that's a time in which there is not as much competition for those seats on the airplane, so you'll typically do better. Now, another secret there is Saturday. It used to be very difficult to arrive or depart Las Vegas on a Saturday. So hotels would make you sort of book Friday and Saturday night stays. That hasn't been the case for well over a decade now. So if you don't want to spend 6 or 7 nights in Las Vegas, and I just recommended that you didn't, the best way to do it might be to come in on a Tuesday, fly out on a Saturday, or possibly come in on Saturday, fly out on a Wednesday. Those are both 4-night stays. And you will pay a little bit more on that Saturday night, but overall, I think if you combine the cost of airfare with the cost of your hotel room, you'll discover that that's probably going to give you the best value. One of the most common questions that I get on my Facebook group and otherwise is what's the weather going to be like in Las Vegas when I'm there? And Las Vegas weather can be pretty unpredictable, but there are a few things that I can point out to you today that'll help you plan your trip. First off, if you're not a big fan of really hot weather, you might want to avoid the months of June, July, and August when temperatures typically range over 100 degrees and can easily top 110 from time to time. I don't care how much you hydrate, I don't care how much time you spend at the pool, that's really hot. So if you plan to incorporate a lot of outdoor activities into your trip, you'll probably want to skip those months. Now, late May, early September can also be pretty hot, sometimes even humid. So I would say the ideal months to come to Las Vegas are probably April and October. You get that sort of 80 degrees during the day, maybe down to 50s at night, very comfortable. Also keep in mind that Las Vegas is not hot 12 months out of the year. Basically, January and February are pretty chilly. You're almost never going to get much above 60 degrees during the day, and it can easily hit freezing at night. Also, even November, February, even early March, there can be some pretty chilly nights there as well. Now, for those of us who are Vegas veterans and we know what we want to do and we want to hit up the video poker bar or some of our favorite restaurants or just chill in the hotel, it may not make as much difference. But if you're going during those cold winter months in your town, keep in mind that Las Vegas is also likely to be pretty chilly, so make sure you bring along a jacket or you won't be terribly comfortable, and you're probably not going to want to wear shorts in January. One other factor that can really impact your Vegas experience is any kind of major event that's taking place in the city. And traditionally, we talk a lot about Las Vegas conventions. Las Vegas is one of the biggest convention cities anywhere in the world, really. And most conventions do take place during the week and take place during what would otherwise be sort of slow periods. That's the idea. You try to fill those hotel rooms during the times that maybe there isn't as much demand otherwise. So you might pick a random week in January or November and think that it's going to be very inexpensive and suddenly discover that room rates are very high. Now, the COVID situation a few years ago really decimated the convention business in Las Vegas, and it still has not completely rebounded. But if you want to check that sort of thing, a great resource is the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau. You can check out their site, and they can tell you about any sort of meetings. Now, it's not a big deal if a few thousand people are in town, but some of these conventions can hit 50, 60,000 people, and that's going to really impact your experience. It's going to be hard to get a reservation. Things are just going to be really crowded. So I recommend trying to avoid those times if possible. Another thing you may want to avoid, unless it's the reason you're going to Las Vegas in the first place, is some of the big sporting events. Once in a while there'll be like a major boxing event or UFC fight that can raise prices on hotels and also make the city very crowded. But two events do come to mind that you definitely want to pay attention to. One is March Madness, that first week of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Coincides typically with St. Patrick's Day as well and a lot of spring breaks. So that is a very busy time, typically very expensive. The other thing is the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is actually going to be held in Las Vegas next year, so that's going to be really crazy. But even when it's not in Las Vegas, there's so many people that descend on the city to make wagers on the game that can be a very expensive weekend. And now with Las Vegas having professional sports franchises, in particular the Las Vegas Raiders, any weekend that they're going to be in town is also going to be one you may want to steer clear of. Now that we've given you a few caveats about booking your trip to Las Vegas, some times to avoid, some times that may be a better choice for you, we need to return to those mega travel sites and kind of try to wean you off of them. Sometimes some of the least expensive airlines that are going to fly to Las Vegas from your community or nearby won't even be listed, including the largest carrier in America, which is Southwest. They're not listed on any of those sites. You'll have to check them out separately. You get some of these kind of almost charter airlines, like a place like Allegiant. They'll fly out of a lot of smaller airports, typically have pretty low fares, though you got to watch out for the add-ons. But again, that's not going to be listed on Orbitz or one of those sites. So you'll have to investigate those separately, and typically you may find that you can save some money that way. Also, I don't recommend booking your hotel through one of these major travel sites or any of the big hotel sites, period. There's like hotels.com and whatever. And I've used some of those sites before. They're perfectly legitimate. But a lot of times you can get a better deal if you book directly through the hotel, particularly if you have any history of play with that particular casino group. And the largest ones you may want to look into are Caesars Rewards or MGM Rewards. Many people may have a local casino hotel where they may have played, and even a small amount of play typically will entitle you to some kind of a discount on rooms. They have specials from time to time. And so that's often the way to go, particularly if you're part of one of those larger rewards groups. The other big advantage of booking directly with the hotel is if there's any kind of a mix-up, a problem, or whatever, you're right there with the people that you've done business with. If you book through one of these consolidators or larger sites and there's a problem with your reservation, you're probably going to have to take it up with them first, which is kind of a pain and can really mess up the start of your vacation. Okay, so to summarize today's show, we really wanted to give you some insights into the best times to go to Las Vegas, or what might be the best times for you, when you can save the most money, when you'll have the best experience, when you can avoid some of the big crowds. That's going to be a little bit of legwork. It may involve checking out a number of different sites, including different airline sites or hotel sites. It may involve moving your dates around. So if you can be flexible at all with your time in Las Vegas, it can sometimes save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So pick a shorter trip. Try to take advantage of some of those airfare specials you'll get midweek or on Saturday, and some of the better deals you'll get on hotel rooms. You can stay in a nicer place and spend no more money. And watch out for those big events that can make everything more expensive and the city more crowded. If you do those things and you keep track of the weather, I think you'll have a great trip to Las Vegas and you'll want to come back soon. Thanks for joining us again on the brand new Vegas Weekly. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back next week with another episode. So until then, I hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.